This conference will now be recorded.
It starts today's session. So in the last session, we were discuss about model view sets and using model view set how to perform CRUD operations we were discuss. But in today's session, I'm going to discuss about authentication system. So authentication and permissions in Django REST framework. So authentication and permissions in Django REST framework. So what are the authentications are there? How to work with that? We'll see now. So the authentication is the mechanism of identifying the credentials. Credentials means like username and password. So authentication is the process of checking the user credentials are correct or not. That is username and password. So REST framework provides a several authentication schemes, and also it will allow you to implement some custom authentication schemes. So authentication always run at the very starting of the view before the permission checks occur and before any other code is allowed to proceed. And here you can see authentication by itself will not allow or disallow an incoming request. It simply identifies the credentials that the request was made with. So that means authentication only by itself, authentication will not allow or disallow incoming request. Okay, only permission classes will decide who can able to access the API, who cannot able to access the API. That will decide by permission classes. But authentication only checking whether user name and passwords are correct or not. It will check. Remaining thing down. Yeah. So what are the different types of authentications are there in Django REST framework? We'll see this. So types of authentications. Types of authentications clearly. So here types of authentication I'm doing now. What are the different types of authentications? Types of authentications. So there are several types of authentications in Django REST framework. One is basic authentication. Basic authentication. Next one is token authentication. It's very important. Token authentication. Next one is session authentication. Session authentication. And next one is custom authentication. Custom authentication. Next, one more is there, remote user authentication that we cannot implement because it's coming, it's required some server need to be somewhere and client need to be somewhere. In that context, we can go for remote authentication. But we need to discuss about only these authentications: basic authentication, token authentication, session authentication, and custom authentication. So what are the permissions are there? So these are the types of authentications. Okay. But what about permissions? What permission classes we have? So let's see this permission classes what we have. See, permissions determines whether a request should be granted or denied. So permission checks are always run at the very starting of the view. Permissions are used to grant or deny access for different classes of users to different parts of API only. So that's what permissions means. What which user can able to allow to access API, which user don't allow to access API will decide. That is called permission classes. So what are the permission classes are there? We'll see now one by one. Permission classes. The first permission classes is allow any. Yes, sir, it is allow any is there. So allow any. That means what allow any means? Any user can allow to access your API. With authentication or non-authenticated, no matter, all the users can allow to access API. Allow any means. Next one is authenticated. Is authenticated. Is authenticated means what you know? Only authenticated users can able to access the API. Only authenticated users. So remaining not. Only authenticated users can allow to access API. Allow any means anybody can access. Is authenticated means only authenticated users can access the API. That is the case. Okay. Next permission class is what? Is admin user. Is admin user means only staff status account holder only can able to access the API, or super user also can able to access API. But normal users, many we can create, but all the users may not be a staff status account holder, may not be a super users. That users cannot allow. Only administrative person, those who are having staff status account true, that person can able to access the API. Next is authenticated or read only. Is authenticated or read only. That means what? Is authenticated or read only means authenticated users can able to do any operations like creation, updation, deletion, insertion, everything. Just a moment. But unauthenticated unauthenticated users can only read. See, is authenticated means what you know, or read only. Authenticated users can do any action, creating the record, updating the record, deleting the record, reading the record, everything. But unauthenticated user can only read. He can't able to do any operations. That is authenticated or read only. Permission classes is Django model permission is there. Django model permission means you have to get the enough permission to access the models. So database models. Next, authenticated users only can able to access database models. Django model permission. Next, Django model permissions or a non-read only is there. Model permission, Django model permissions are a non-read only. Non-read only means what you know? I'll tell you what is non-read only. Non-read only means unauthenticated users can only read. Authenticated users can able to access Django models. That is Django model permission or a non-read only. So final one, Django object object permission is there. Django object permission. Object permission means what, sir? Only particular instance we can access from the model. For that, we need to use Django object permission clear. These are all permission classes one by one. So we need to work with all the authentications along with permission classes. So let's begin the creation of application and step by step. And I'll show you today some of the permission classes and some of the authentication schemes. So for this, I'm recommending that to create a new application. So I'm creating applications here. Now here, previously REST app 11, REST app 12 is there. Now today I'm trying to create a REST app 13. Python space manage.py start app REST app 13 sorry here. Python space manage.py start app rest app 13. Rest app 13 clearly say. Let's run this. Now rest app 13 created successfully. We need to include rest app 13 here into settings.py. So rest app 13 I'm using. So here rest app 13. After that we need to prepare models are here in the rest app 13. Let's go to rest app 13 models. So what model we have to create, you can see already we have a model in previous application. So rest app 12, so that model I'm trying to prepare. So models are there. So in this rest app 13 model I have to go with, paste it. Now you can see name, address, mail, age. So this is the model. Okay, fine. Next, you can try to make migrations and migrate and try to insert few records. Make migrations. Yes, now migrate. Once migration is over, you can check here in the database model. So your model is there or not, you can check. Refresh. So I'm checking this one, rest app 13 underscore manager, edit data. Once we have edit data here, you can see there is no records, but let me try to insert few records for just for accessing. Name, address, mail, age. Name, address, mail, age. Now let's update. So records are inserted. Now I want to go with serializer.py file. So serializer.py file is also there in the previous application. I'm simply right click on it, copy it, paste into desktop 13. Same code, I'm just doing copy codes, copy and paste. Now you can see rest tab 13 model serializer I'm including. Okay, yeah. So this is the serializer class also ready. Now we need to work with view sorter. Okay, so view and view sets, model view set I'm using, and the permission classes I'm going to show you, explain the permission classes, how to work with permission classes step by step. So main focus is on view set. Setting is not required, model is not required, serializer is not required, table let it be keep as it is. So I want to show you records updation or deletion. So let's go for views. In this view, first of all, we need to import required libraries. REST app 13 dot models. What model? Manager model. Again, REST app 13 dot serializer. What serializer? Manager serializer. And also, what I need to do? View sets. We worked with previously view sets, no? REST framework. Import view sets. View sets. Yes. And after that, now you can see I'm trying to write. I'm not implementing any authentication, just try once, okay? So I'm not implementing any authentication and permissions also right now, but just I'm using class manager model view set is. So view sets dot model view sets. Model view set is required only two things, no sir. Query set and serializer class. That's it. Very simple. Yesterday, what we discussed last application, serializer class, manager serializer. These two enough. Create list, delete, destroy, everything will be internally managed. So only model view set I'm using. So that's the reason I'm creating this simple logic. Manager model view set is my class. But this we need to set into URLs, no? Yes, already URLs I have configured in the last application with the router. So I'm copying this URLs.py also. and pasting into REST app 13, sir. But once we cross verify that the model view set name is correct or not, you can check once. REST app 13 I'm taking here. And now you can see manager view set, manager model view set. This name should be matched with this name, sir. Otherwise, it will not work. For clarity, I'm just copying and pasting manager. Router.urls I'm using. Okay, yes, router.urls clearly available. So next, what we need to do here, I need to set this URL into project level URLs. Let's go to here, project level URLs I'm setting. Previously we worked with REST app 12. So I'm giving name so that it will not work now. Path I'm taking. Now I'm trying to take include REST app 13 dot URLs. So comma REST app 13 dot URLs include. So this is the case. So now coming to this REST app 13 dot URLs is clear. So URLs you can close it. Not required. Now we are going to run this server, but we don't have any restriction right now. Anybody can access, non-authenticated or authenticated, anybody can able to use. But look at this. Before this, what I want to show you, I want to show you a table called authentication table. In this, we have some users, no? Auth underscore user is there. Let's see the table here. How many users are there? So far, actually, only one user is there, super user. That is also staff status account, Mohan and Mohan. Okay, no problem. Later I'll go to admin panel. I'll create more users and I can show you authentication scheme how it is. Okay. Now let's run this server first. Python space manage.py run server. So now this time we can see no authentication schemes are implementing. So that's what anybody can able to access the API can able to do all the things. No restriction on it. Now I'm implementing authentication schemes now. So what are the authentication schemes are there, like basic authentication, token authentication, session, custom, and also along with permission classes are there many permission classes. We'll try to do one by one. To implement authentication scheme in Django REST framework, so first we have to go for from REST framework dot authentication. We are implementing what's our basic authentication. Look at this, there are two things are there in IntelliSense. One is basic authentication, one more is base authentication. Both are different, sir. So we are working with basic authentication. So base authentication means later whenever you want to implement custom authentication, that custom authentication class should be inherited from base authentication. But right now I'm working with what? Basic authentication only. Only basic authentication I'm using. So this is the authentication scheme. But along with authentication scheme, I'm going to work with what? Permission classes. So Django REST framework and dot permissions import. So what permissions? There are so many permissions are there. Allow any I'm using. First I'm using what? Allow any. Allow any means what permission class it is? Anybody can allow. Okay, non-staff status member, staff status member, and without any login and all, anybody can allow. Okay, yeah. But look at this here. Um, in this model manager model view set, we have to include this. Okay, what we have to include? Authentication classes equals to in the square bracket basic authentication. Permission classes equals to in the square bracket allow any, like that you have to implement. Now this time you can see same allow any means yes, anybody can allow authenticated user, unauthenticated user. But before that I want to show you something. Clear the screen and run the server first. After that I have to go to admin panel because I need to create some users here, which is non-staff status account holder. Let's go to admin panel. I have created super user Mohan and Mohan in my previous lecture for this REST framework. Now you can see. So here only one user is available, Mohan user, staff status member is active, true only. This user is trying to create one more user. Suppose username is what we can say Kiran. Password I'm giving Mohan at the rate of 123. Now we can see this. Click on save. But Kiran user is non-staff status account only. No? Yes. Okay, Kiran user is non-staff status account only. This you can remember. Okay. Yes. I'm log out, log in again. Now this time you can see I'm trying to run the server. Then this time also anybody can access your API. So there is no restriction because we are using permission classes is what allow any. Allow any means anybody can access. So they can able to read one to record. They can able to insert the records. Now you can see I'm trying to insert record here. It will possible, sir. Hyderabad mail also I'm taking and age. Yes. Post the record. It's posted. So you can see API root again. There are all records are there, three records. Even in the database table also, records are clearly available. So here it is normal user table. This table you have to use. Now you can see third record is inserted. That means record got inserted or not? Yes. So it's okay, sir. So this time what actually allow any is there. That's what anybody can able to access your API. Anybody can do its operations. Whatever you want, you can do it. Insert and deletion also you can do, sir. Not a problem. So I'll show you. So anybody can do insertion, deletion, updation clearly. So whatever he wants. Now you can see if user wants to delete any record, ID number one, he can delete it, he can update it like this. Okay. So there is no restriction right now because we are using allow any class. Next, what I am trying to use a class called is authenticated. Look at this, comma, is authenticated I'm using. Now permission class is changed. Now I'm commenting this permission class. Permission class is equals to is authenticated I'm using. Once at the moment if I use is authenticated, that means what? To access the API right now, compulsory credentials are required, like username and password is required. Otherwise not. Yes, obviously. So let's try to run this. Now you can see this. It's possible to implement what? Authentication scheme. So this is authenticated means username password compulsory required in this case clearly. So without providing the authentication details here, username and password, you cannot. But I have a username password with me, Mohan and Mohan. So I can access the API now. So it is allow me to access here. So Mohan can do any operations, not a problem here. Okay, look at this. Mohan wants to delete the record or update the record, he can do it, not a problem. Okay, yes. So updating record, just I'm taking Amir Pate address instead of SR Nagar. Amir Pate I'm giving. Record, updated record is coming. Second record got updated here. So second record got updated. In the database model also, let's check out updated address here. So this is what permission class is authenticated. But here you can see this is authenticated means Mohan user as login and one more user I created no just now. What user? Kiran. But Kiran user is not a staff status, not a super user at all. Okay, staff status is 0 here. But at this moment is authenticated means anybody can able to access this APSR means not only Mohan here, so even Kiran also can able to join. Not a problem. So let's try to run the server here. I'm showing with the non-staff status member also. Now I'm trying to say again here Kiran is the non-staff status member, but still he can able to access API. He can do anything operations. Now you can see Kiran in the left right hand side. Clearly it shows like Kiran name where what we log in. So you can do also any posting the record, updating the record like this. So I'm trying to use posting the record just. Okay, now. So this is about what records are inserted. So non-staff status member also can able to use the API, can do operations, all this. So is authenticated means just username and password is required. Okay, yes. But now I'm trying to show you one more permission class now. Is admin user I'm using. Is admin user means what? Only staff status account holder can access your API, not non-staff status member. Non-staff status member means what? So here non-staff status member also there. Kiran is the non-staff status member, but Mohan is the staff status member. You can check in the authentication table. Staff status 1 means Mohan, here staff status account holder. Staff status 0 means Kiran. So 0 is the staff status here. So that is the case. So now coming to this, I'm trying to use is admin. Permission class I'm changing. Permission classes equals to what's a is admin user. So admin user means what? Admin user can able to access API. Non-admin users cannot able to access API, sir. That is correct. Now admin user means only staff status account holder can access API. Non-staff status account holder cannot access API. Let's try to run this. I'm hitting this, but look at this. I'm login as a Kiran, non-staff status member. Click on sign in. Look at this. You do not have permission to perform this action or not. Yes, exactly. You do not have permission perform to, but you do not have permission to perform this action, it is saying. That means Kiran is the non-staff status account member. I have clearly mentioned the permission class is admin user. Only admin user can able to access the API, means who are having staff status account, remaining users cannot access the API. So let's close it again and I'm going to rerun it. So now I'm going to join as a Mohan. So Mohan is the super user as well as staff status account holder. So he can able to access anything. Now you can see once I run this, I'm trying to join as a Mohan. Mohan. Now it's okay, sir. I'm able to access or not? Yes. We can insert, we can delete, we can update anything. Suppose I'm trying to delete one of the record like second record. User can able to delete this. Yes, I'm deleting. All the operations we can perform as a staff status account holder. So after deleted, you can check this deleted record is there, 1, 3, 4 is there, 2 record is gone. So this is about what actually basic permission classes with basic authentication. Still, we need to discuss about what permissions, is authenticated or read only, Django model permission. These are all permission classes we need to discuss. This we will see in the next session. But before that, what I am trying to do, you have implemented right now the permission classes and authentication schemes in where, sir? View. Look at this. Okay, view only. But without implementing permission classes or authentications here in the view, we can also implement the same thing into settings.py also. But better way is view only, because in your Django project we are working with many applications. In which application through you want to work with permissions and authentication, you can decide. So that's it, what I mean to say here. Instead of implementing authentication schemes and permission classes in view section, okay, so we can also use settings.py file for authentication and permission classes. How to do means we will go through this. But right now I am commenting this. Look at this. Commenting this. No set, no permissions, nothing. Only query set serializer is there. But for this application, I want to go with authentication. What actually here? Implementing in settings.py. Let's go to settings.py. In settings.py also we can implement, sir. So I'm just implementing here. So I'll show you. So to implement this REST framework, REST underscore framework we have to use equals to open bracket, close bracket. After that, within the single quotes dictionary key, it is default authentication classes we have to use. What you have to use? Default underscore authentication underscore classes colon default authentication classes colon it within the brackets again single quote REST framework dot authentication dot basic authentication. REST framework dot authentication dot basic authentication. Like this you have to write. Okay, comma. This is one key value pair. Next key value pair I'm taking default permission classes. Default underscore permission underscore classes colon REST framework dot permissions dot is authenticated or any permission you can use. REST underscore framework dot permissions dot is admin I'm using. Okay. So is admin what how the way we use is admin user. I capital A capital like this. So this we have to perform, sir. Look at this in my view section. I have not included any authentication schemes or permission classes. But all the thing instead of doing in the view section, I'm doing where? In settings.py file clearly. So default authentication, default underscore authentication underscore classes, REST underscore framework dot authentication basic authentication, default underscore permission underscore classes REST framework dot permissions dot is admin user. Okay, this also possible, sir, clearly. So instead of implementing authentication and permission class where I am implementing now in settings.py. But look at this, observe. Because of we are implementing authentication scheme in settings.py, previously the moment when I run this here, okay, automatically the link is created, no? Yes, link is created previously. Now you can see this time already user is logged in. That's what I'm trying to say that I can go to admin panel something. Sorry. I'm going to do admin panel because now you can see immediately it is going to ask the username and password, correct or not? The reason is why the authentication scheme permission classes are present in settings. So setting is global file. Previously, when I implement this concept in view section, it is allowed to display the browsable API window. There is a link is there. Once the moment I click on link, it asks username and password. But now, once I start the server, automatically username and password. So global file is loading fast, settings.py. So only staff status account is admin user. No, is admin means non-staff staff status member cannot able to access API. Kiran is the non-staff status member, so you do not have permission like this only. Again, I'm trying to refresh it. So now you can see. Let's restart the server. This time I'm going to use Mohan user. So because we are using is admin person only staff status member only can access. This time I'm using Mohan user. So Mohan user can have the permission and clearly he can able to access everything. So this is the way to implement what? Permission classes authentication schemes in settings.py file also if you want. Instead of view section. View section, there is no permission, there is no settings. Directly only settings.py file I am including. So this is anyways you can do this. In tomorrow's session, we'll continue this more permission classes I'll discuss, and also session authentication, token authentication. Token authentication is very, very important. Even custom authentication also we'll discuss about this. Mostly in the next 5 6 sessions, okay, it will be finished. The REST API. Immediately I'll start Flask sessions, Flask framework sessions.